So I generally live by the principle of living and letting others live. So I'm essentially indifferent to them insofar as they do not violate my rights or don't try and impose anything on me.
Well, I support them. I support on their rights. They deserve everything which normal human being deserve.
I don't really have an opinion on trans people. I'm fine with them existing. I don't know a lot of trans people personally, so I don't really understand the issue well there. But overall, I'm fine with them. I don't really have a problem with them.
My opinion of transgender people, or as they're known here as intersex, is that they should not be discriminated against for something that they cannot control and they're born with.
I think that generally there is a stigma attached to transgenders, and because of the attachment of that stigma, in the majority of instances, they're oftentimes discriminated against, or people generally don't like to interact with them because they're viewed as being, a generic term would probably be weird or strange. So I think people don't like to interact with them. I think that makes life for most transgenders difficult in society as well. So a lot of people don't actually consider them to be transgenders. That also often leads to more discrimination. But there are a few transgender who I think still in the elite circles who still get better treatment.
Two words in my mind: it's bullying and harassment. These are the two things which they are facing on daily, basis. Obviously, because we see that no company is hiring them at the moment. There is no education institute, where transgenders are allowed to work, even to get education. So they have one thing to do, and that is to dance and to earn money. And that, dancing in streets is the main cause of people bullying them and harassing them and all sort of things.
कोई गल सोच की बात है लोगों को कैसे सोचता कोई पता नहीं था गलत भी है सही भी जागते भी करता है बंद भी करता
I think my society's treatment in Canada especially is much better when you compare it to a country like Pakistan, because if they have a lot more talks about transgender people, right? We have a lot more talks in, for instance, schools. So we like, especially the children, really, when they grow up, they already know and they already accept transgender people as human. I think that's really important as well in a country, in every country.
The treatment of the United States towards the LGBTQ community as a whole is relatively much better than the rest of the world, even including the intersex I into the acronym to represent them. As a practicing Muslim, I do not agree with everything that the LGBTQ community is fighting for, but I definitely do believe that sex people should be represented, not just in the world, but in Pakistan as well, because that's something that they cannot control at all.
Yeah, of course. In Pakistan, there's discrimination against a lot of groups. You look at minorities, you look at different genders as well. So when you look at transgenders who already have such a big social stigma attached, A, getting employment, but secondly, just in terms of how they're treated generally in society, people looking down upon them. I think their social interactions, their economic interactions, and even in terms of their political involvement, all three spheres, they're very discriminated.
Absolutely, as I've said, they have no right to vote. They have no right to study. They have no right to go in different corporate worlds to study. As a matter of fact, they don't have, they don't have that right to go in different countries. Recently, you have seen the case of Dubai. Transgender went there and they just stopped it.
So yeah, as I said, so a lot of members in my family too, we look at transgenders, we become immediately repulsed by them. I think that's something that oftentimes is bred into you from childhood. And that means that because this is not a normalized concept for most children, I think that means that stigma is only intensified. So that makes dealing with them harder.
Not a good thing. To be honest, they don't want their kids to be a transgender. And they don't want transgenders to be their friends. So things are bad for them.
Yes, overall, I think as society has progressed and as time has moved on, obviously we have started to accept trans people a lot more because there's been a lot more talk about trans people.
I do believe that there is a trend towards acceptance of intersex people more. Even in Pakistan, they introduced the X system on the Pakistani identity card instead of F or M for people who have ambiguous sexual characteristics. And they also allotted a certain percentage of government jobs to those individuals who cannot identify as a man or a woman.